What's up, everybody? It's G here. I wanted to share my thoughts on, cars specifically, but the state of them as of right now. When I should say, when I'm looking around as I'm driving, or maybe looking at some car news or whatnot, or whatever is happening in social media, I noticed that, a lot of countries, not just America, but, America is also, like kind of like a leader in the sense of that, push this initiative. I'll get into it in a moment. But yeah, like, sometimes when I'm driving around and from my observation, yes, we in America, but also, a lot in the rest of the world, we are into our crossovers, SUVs, and you still have your sedans and you have your minivans and you have your trucks, going on out there. Every once in a while, you might have or you might see a sports car of some sorts, or sports coupe of some sorts. Which, by the way, for me, I'm a big fan of sports coupes, sports cars. It's just, to me, it's just, they're the most enjoyable type of vehicle to enjoy driving as a whole. But putting that aside, anyway, so getting into like the meat of it, we have a lot of different choices, and these automakers, big and small, are, trying to do calculated moves. Now, I am going to go into sharing my thoughts concerning EVs and also hybrids. Excuse me for moving the camera. Filming with the Z Fold 4. Try using the main camera here. Let me know if it's clear enough to continue using until getting a camera or new camera set up or whatnot. Okay. Yes. So going back to the EVs and the hybrids and things like that. So, on my personal preference or stance on it is that the more choices, the better, because then you can get to choose whatever you actually like, you actually enjoy. Because at the end of the day, getting a vehicle, getting a car is very personal, right? But it's also one of the necessities that we have in life to get, to point A to point B. Second to getting a house or maybe renting out an apartment. So when it comes to vehicles, I personally think, it's better to have many different choices. So what the choices do we have? Okay, you have your traditional gas-powered vehicle. You have your hybrids, which is even the hybrid in itself. There's a few different layouts. My personal layout with hybrids are something similar or not close to the Prius, which, to simplify it, the Prius is a parallel series hybrid where you have the gas engine, and the gas engine is basically moving the wheels. You also have the electric motor, which is also moving the wheels, combined and by itself. So you have the best of both worlds. You literally have two different energies that you're using to propel the vehicle, which, to me, it's like, again, that's the best of both worlds. It may not give the most enjoyment as far as driving wise, although it depends on how the manufacturer creates that vehicle, that product, Then you have series hybrids, which is basically a pure electric car that happens to have a gas engine that helps it to charge the batteries and only charge the batteries. So that gas engine in there, which they like to refer to as range extender, you get gas simply to be a generator and charge the batteries. Now, I don't have a problem with those, but my personal preference, I would not want that, is simply because, to me, it just doesn't make any sense in my point of view. But anyway, at least there is different options out there. And then after that's hybrids. After that, you have EVs, battery electric vehicles, and I don't mind those. You don't have any sound, and even though some small or big companies try to, or actually do, end up using speakers that pushes out some sort of a sound that maybe to what you want to hear, and to me there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time it is still an artificial sound, and it may not sound the greatest, and even if it does sound the greatest, it's just not it. If you want sound, you go get a gas car, right? So, but the advantage of an electric car per se, like a Tesla, is, Tesla is generally viewed as the number one brand, but I believe they're the number one brand purely because not the vehicles themselves, but the servicing that they have pertaining to the supercharger. The supercharger and their charging network has been greatly used to the point where the United States of America, their federal government, says, you know what, we're going to use Tesla's method of charging in their build, and all American companies or companies alike that wants to sell any vehicles here in the United States to use that as the standard charging port, charging solution. And honestly, why not? Because at the end of the day, here in America, anything outside of a regular gas car, we do not have enough infrastructure. You want when it comes to electric cars, outside of, the Tesla superchargers, you got the EVgo's and the other little companies, I can't remember the names are, but, you got those other charging station companies, but they're not as widely available as the supercharger, right? So, the infrastructure really needs to improve greatly here in America. And, is another vehicle that's still electric based, but it's a different way of doing electricity, which is the hydrogen car. That's even more scarce because, they're still in its infancy. They're still trying to find ways to make it cheaper. Just to produce the hydrogen itself is already very quite expensive. The process is quite expensive. It's expensive to the point where you don't have enough. There's not like an easier and a lesser expensive process to create such things, such a liquid. But that's just one part. The other part is we need infrastructures. We need, a fueling station. You don't have enough of those either. So at least here in America, I can only speak for America. So, although we have all these different choices, which is great. Thank God we have all these choices because, it's just like anything else. Clothes, cell phones, computers, food, there's different brands, right? There's different things that we like, right? So, like I said, I still think that, it's good to have many different choices, but at the end of the day, though, when you get into some of the choices, like the battery powered vehicles, like the Series 1, not Series 1, but the Series hybrids, and hydrogen, we need way more infrastructure for this to really work for that individual, unless you happen to own a home and you have purchased the home kit. That kind of helps with the person that has an actual house that they are buying or even renting. But for the individual who just have an apartment, you go outside like, okay, where are you going to charge this thing, right? So, unless you have a Tesla or like an EVgo near your house, like, you got to go and prep for those, you have those options to go and use those, but if it's near the house. But for everybody else, if they have their own home and they have a garage, well, their solution, you can put the stuff You can put the charging station, system, unit, whatever you want to call it, in their garage, and this, your life is a little bit more simpler. You don't no longer have to plan out, like some 30 minutes or 15 minutes to charge the vehicle one way or another. So, but yeah, that definitely needs to improve. But my personal view is I don't mind an electric car, because of the pure torque and the real horsepower that you get from them, especially with really powerful electric motors paired with a really well thought out software support and medium or big battery. So, but for me personally, I think the series parallel hybrids like a Prius setup is, to me, the best solution for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, is the best solution. Actually, I'm driving one also right now. I own one right now. But yes, this kind of vehicle, you have two different energies that you're using, and because of kind of like the backing out of the EVs in the United States, you have a lot of the actually a lot of the world. You have a lot of automakers that are kind of adjusting the whole idea of going full out battery EV, BEV. They're going back to the hybrids or just the regular gas vehicles, because actually, you do have some gas vehicles that are quite efficient. And there's actually even some automakers that are doubling down on engineering new, efficient, and powerful, gas engine drivetrains and whatnot. But I believe that the hybrid is, while some people might think the hybrid is like a stepping stone to a full-blown EV, I believe depending on how you build that hybrid, that might be the best vehicle to use, period. Unlike a traditional gas-powered vehicle, which you need 3,000 miles or 3 months, and you got to do the oil change. With the hybrids, you have, they generally go into 4,000 miles or 4 to 5 months for the oil change. Now, granted, I know their oil changes is more expensive. It's all right though. That happens sometimes. That technology is still a technology-based product, so it costs more for that technology. I will say for EVs, you don't actually have to worry about anything engine-wise, oil change, transmission oil, all that stuff, because, all that is, it's an electric car. So you have to really just worry about your tires, how often that you charge your vehicle, like 100%, brakes, and other things concerning the vehicle outside of, an quote-unquote engine. So that's the benefit of an EV, which is pretty good. If I ever go to EV, that's what I would actually enjoy, is not needing to do a oil change or anything like that. So, but still, I believe hybrids are not just a stepping stone to an EV, but rather an overall better solution right now, especially how EVs are still expensive. The least expensive EV that I know, it comes from, I think, two companies. Chevy with their Bolt, that kind of like a 200 horsepower, electric vehicle, kind of like a Honda Fit, but electric. And then, what's the other one? I can't recall the other one. But yes, those kind of vehicles, those are the cheap. They're like getting in like the 20-30 grand, but most companies doesn't want to make a 20-30 grand EV because it costs way more to create an EV in general, and you have just barely any kind of range in it. So that's why most companies, when they make an EV, they're making at least mid-size, and they're also getting into full size, and that is going to be I think the cheapest one now, when you get into kind of those specs, is like, the 35-40 grand, before the sensitives that they put in. So, but yeah, this is what I think about, the state of our of America, with, and not just America, but all the whole world. They're trying to go back to, some of the hybrid technology, and those are getting better. Now, now get me wrong, the solid state batteries that, these companies are claiming that they're much better than the lithium ion batteries. When they get it into a mass produced vehicle that's getting into the millions of units, let's see how it really benefit us, in that kind of sense. But until then, like, I think the hybrid is, pretty good. And actually one of my favorite sporty cars, which, you might look at it, you might think and say, this is not no 2013 vehicle, and this is not a supercar, but the company never specified that it's a supercar. So, which is the BMW i8. If you don't know what it looked like, Google it. BMW i8, and you will see that car came out in 2013 in the market and ran all the way till 2021. And you can't tell me that if you get one of these vehicles, it's not like a timeless, futuristic design. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this little conversation. Please comment on what you think about, this auto industry, in the state of it here in the United States, and maybe even in the rest of the world, whoever you're watching, let me know what you guys think. This is a conversation. So, let's chime in. All right. Peace.